It's time to take a look at those third basemen. What's going on, Dustin Nameco? Before we get into it, don't forget, go post any questions in our forums. Check out all our other tiers and rankings and our cheat sheet up on the homepage. Brent, start us off.
All right, we got two guys in the tier number one, and that's Miguel Cabrera. I know what you're thinking. He might not have necessarily third base eligibility quite yet in the league that you're signing up for, but he is going to be playing third base this year, so therefore we ranked him here, and he will have that eligibility. Now, Cabrera, clearly, he's actually our overall number one player. Coming out of your third base, the power you're going to get, the average, he just saw it all around. And number two on the list, we got Jose Bautista. And this guy has just been ridiculous over the past two seasons. Dustin, I don't necessarily 100% trust him still, but you got to put him there just based on his numbers alone.
Tier 2, we got Hanley Ramirez, another guy that's moving over to third base, so it might take him a little while before he officially has eligibility, so keep that in mind when you're drafting. But Hanley, we're looking for a bounce back here. Terrible year for him last year. Hopefully he can get things turned around, but obviously a ton of upside there. Same with Evan Longoria, down year last year. His batting average for balls in play was really low, so he got a little bit unlucky. The power was still there, so we fully expect him to have a nice year this year. Moving down at number 5, we got the Kung Fu Panda. Big fan of Pablo. You know, he's still doing it, putting up the average, putting up the numbers. We see no reason why he can't do it again this year. Next, we got David Wright. You know, he's kind of been up and down over the last couple years. Can't seem to completely stay healthy, but if he does, he still has the potential of putting up big numbers, only 30 years old. And the last guy in this tier, we got A-Rod. You know, he's getting up there in years. He had a really down year last year. Just really couldn't seem to get things going with the bat. Only 16 home runs. Batting average was a lot lower than what we're used to, but he still has potential to turn it around, and he's going to have a lot of RBI opportunities out there.
Tier 3 starts with Beltre of the Texas Rangers, and before you call us crazy and we start getting hated on, the only reason he's down here is he's had some consistency issues in the past, and you know, of course he's put together two really nice seasons, but due to that consistency issues in the past, you know, we're just a little scared of him, so he's ranked right here. Next on the list, we have Ryan Zimmerman. He had a little bit of a down year a season ago, but he's normally about a 300 hitter, and he does give you that pop, so we certainly like him. Then we have Brett Lowry. Be a little cautious of him. This guy is getting really hyped. He's starting to get almost overdrafted at this point, but if you can get him in the right place in your draft, we certainly love the talent, certainly love the upside. Last guy on this list is Michael Young. You know, even at age 36, we haven't seen a huge decline in his numbers. You're going to get that average, and last year he drove in 106 runs, so you certainly like that.
Tier 4 has a couple of old guys that can still get it in dud. The first one is Kevin Youkilis with Boston. You know, he's kind of battled injuries recently, but if he can stay healthy, he's still going to put up solid numbers, and he always has the potential to bat for a good average. And next we have Aramis Ramirez. You know, he's 34 years old, but he's still putting up the numbers. You know, last year he batted over 300, 26 home runs, 93 RBIs. We don't see any reason why he can't put up similar numbers this year.
Tier 5 starts off with Brent Morel. This youngster is only 25 years old, had a huge end to last year. He had 8 jacks in the month of September. Next on the list, we got David Freese. You know, when he was banged up on and off last year, but when he was healthy, he certainly put up some decent stats. At number 16, we got Mike Moustakas. This is a youngster that we really like his upside. In the minors, he was a beast. If you don't want to gamble on a guy like Lowry in the 4th, 5th round, this is a guy you can get 6 or 7 rounds later that has a ton of upside as well. Next, we got Mark Reynolds. 1 out of 3 hits that he had was a home run. So clearly it's all about power. His average isn't that great. He had 37 jacks last year. And the last 2 guys in this tier is Prado and Encarnacion of the Braves and Blue Jays respectively. You know, both 29 years old. They don't do anything stellar, but they're decent across the board.
Tier 6 starts out with one of the biggest busts last year, and that's Pedro Alvarez. You know, this guy had a lot of hype coming into the year, and he didn't live up to any of it. But he does still have a big upside, so hopefully he can get things going. Next, we got Ryan Roberts. You know, we're not necessarily trusting 100% what he did last year, but he put together a great year, so hopefully he can do it again. But almost 20 home runs, almost 20 stolen bases. You got to love that for where you're going to be able to get him in the draft. Moving on, we got Scott Sizemore. You know, this young third baseman for Oakland. Decent pop last year, threw in a few bags. You know, you're not going to get a ton of upside here, but he still does have some potential, and he is a decent value for where you can get him. At number 23, we got Figgins. He's 34 years old now, but the reports so far have been pretty good. They're saying as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be their everyday third baseman, and he's going to bat leadoff for him. So hopefully he can improve on his batting average of 188 from a year ago. Next, we have Chase Headley for San Diego. You know, he's had a lot of expectations around him, but he still just hasn't quite lived up to them. 13 bags though for how late you can get him. Not bad there. And the last guy we're going to talk about is Juan Francisco for the Reds. He has Scott Rowland in front of him, but if for whatever reason Rowland gets hurt or Francisco just outplays him, I think this guy does have a decent upside. So in really deep leagues, you might want to give him a look, or if Rowland gets hurt in spring training.
So that's it for third base. With the addition of Cabrera and Hanley, this really makes it a little bit deeper than it's been in years past, so keep that in mind when you're drafting. But, if you can get a guy like Cabrera, we highly recommend doing it. So that's it. Go ahead and post any questions on our forums. Check out all the other videos. Thanks for watching.
Third base.
Tiers and rankings.